Welcome to the eComm Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level. Join Josh Hadley, an 8-figure eComm business owner and investor, as he interviews highly successful business owners. Get ready, because you're going to learn specific actions you can take today to help your business reach its full potential and leave a lasting impact on the world.
Welcome to the eComm Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley, where I interview the top business leaders in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Howard Tai, and Roland Frazier. Today, I'm speaking with Mina Elias, Amazon PPC expert and founder of the Trivium Group, an Amazon advertising agency. And today, we're going to be talking a lot about how important Amazon PPC ad strategies are in combination with your Amazon product detail page optimizations. This episode is brought to you by eComm Breakthrough Consulting, where I help 7-figure companies grow to 8 figures and beyond. Listen, Mina, I started my business back in 2015. And I grew it to an 8-figure brand in 7 years. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way that made the path of getting to 8 figures take a lot longer than it needed to. There were times where I had a lot of self-doubt as to whether I could actually lead a team, or whether my brand could survive, or whether we would have the cash flow to continue. I wish I would have had a guide along the way to help me overcome some of those stumbling blocks and make that path easier and faster for me. So to our listeners, those of you who are encountering those obstacles and stumbling blocks right now and want to know the next steps to take your business to the next level, then go to ecombreakthrough.com. That's eComm with 2 M's to learn more. And as a special bonus to my podcast listeners, this month I'm giving away one $10,000 comprehensive business strategy audit session at no cost. All you need to do is email me at josh@ecombreakthrough.com, and in your subject line, say strategy audit, and then tell me why I should choose you and your business to work with for this month's audit. Before introducing today's guest, I want to give a big thank you to Chad Rubin and thank him for referring Mina as a guest for the podcast. Chad Rubin leads Prophecy's operations and oversees its strategy. He often speaks about e-commerce, Amazon, and leveraging AI strategies. He's also the author of the Amazon bestseller, Cheaper, Easier, and Direct. So go check out Chad Rubin's episode. He talked about ChatGPT and cool ways you could use it for an Amazon seller as well. But today I'm super excited to introduce you all to Mina. Mina is a multiple 7-figure seller in the supplement industry. He's an investor, Amazon PPC expert, and the founder of the Trivium Group, an Amazon advertising agency. Mina excels at developing cutting-edge supplements for different target audiences and combines his passion for supplements, his background in chemical engineering and chemistry, and his expertise in PPC to crush the competition on Amazon. He has spoken on every major stage in the Amazon industry, consulted over 400 brands, consulted 3 aggregators worth $1.2 billion combined, and has been on over 100 Amazon and e-commerce podcasts to share his knowledge, and continues to be a leader innovating the Amazon advertising space. His goal is to change the way people perceive Amazon PPC and empower them to take back control and dominate their ads. So with that introduction, welcome to the show, Mina.
Josh, thank you for having me. I'm excited, man.
Mina, I'm super excited to have you because I've followed your stuff for quite a while. We've met multiple times, and you share so much valuable content. And I know the topic that we're going to be talking about today is going to be super impactful to all of our listeners, because the strategies we're going to be talking about are not beginner strategies. And it's not going to be the same kind of PPC song and dance that I think you hear preached on many stages. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's very unique that most sellers kind of have a different mindset or view of. So, Mina, why don't you kind of introduce us to this kind of new way of thinking in terms of what's working best in Amazon PPC and how that correlates with optimization strategies?
Yeah, definitely. So this all came about, obviously we've been optimizing PPC for a while, and I've been doing it, across a lot of brands. And if you're like me, you have at some point hit a wall with your ads, and you're feeling like, okay, what's next? And And then I was working with this freelancer, MMA Nutrition, like my supplement brand. I wanted to get it on D2C. It's not successful at all on D2C. I actually spent like 60, 80 grand trying to get it launched, and it didn't work. We weren't able to be profitable, but I learned so much along the way. And so this freelancer that I hired, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you have $5,000 a month to spend on Facebook ads. Go ahead, spend it, no problem. If we get like a good return, we'll spend more. And I gave him a bunch of resources, creative resources. I gave him, one of my graphic designers to utilize, and I'm like, go ahead, do whatever you want. And so, he's like, let's meet once a week. And I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't really need to meet, but I'm like, let's meet. And so in the first meeting, he's like, okay, I built like a few landing pages I want to run by you. And so he built these 3 different landing pages. And what he did was he went to my website and he used like one of those like, ClickFunnels type like things. I don't know what it was called, like Unbounce or Page Fly, something like that. But he started taking elements of my D2C like site, my Shopify store, and he would combine it. And he's like, okay, I put some reviews up here, and then I put the product, and then I put like some videos and testimonials, and I put this stuff from your Instagram. And then he's like, the second version is I put your face and a quote from you, and the third version. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, we can definitely try that. And he's like, okay, cool. He's like, on the creative side, audiences are going to be open, like men and women, 16 to 65, whatever. And I'm going to have these 3 different images. One of them was like a money image. It's like hydration for the cost of a quarter. And it was like the headline was about like, it's a hydration, but it's like very affordable, blah, blah, blah. And then I started thinking, I'm like, wow. So this guy is basically driving traffic, but it's the same as like, Amazon PPC, but it's on Facebook. But instead of just driving traffic to one thing, to one ad, he's driving traffic to different ads, different creatives with different headlines. And then they're going to landing pages, and he's split testing these different landing pages. And once he finds a winner, he keeps like the winner, and then he has more experiments for the win against the winner. And then, landing page, he has more experiments on the landing page. And then I started thinking, I'm like, I've never looked at Amazon advertising like that. So with Amazon advertising, I was focused on, okay, we are launching campaigns, optimizing bids. If the ACOS is high, drop the bid. If the ACOS is low, increase the bid, all this kind of stuff. But I never looked at it in this way. And this is how I look at it now as a funnel. I'm driving traffic. I create campaigns and do all this stuff, and it brings me a certain number of impressions, which is like, my listing is loading on the page. And then a certain number of those impressions convert into clicks and sessions ultimately, which is dependent on my click-through rate. Now, obviously, the click-through rate depends on the keyword at some point. Like for an electrolyte powder, if I put electrolyte powder or like, hydration packets, maybe hydration, because I don't have packets, the click-through rate is going to be low and the other one is going to be high. But it's like a certain number of those impressions are turning into clicks. And then what I noticed is there's a very limited number of factors that affect that. Like for the same traffic, you can have a higher or lower click-through rate, and I'll cover the factors in a second. And then I noticed that a certain number of those clicks and sessions, I also want to put that distinction is clicks and sessions are different. Clicks are the number of times people clicked on your ads, and then sessions are the unique Amazon accounts. So you could have, Josh could type in electrolyte powder, electrolyte supplement, and click on different ads, and then click on the video ads, like sponsored products and the video ads. And that would be 4 clicks, but it would be the same person, Josh. He can only buy once. And then a certain number of those sessions, those unique visitors turn into conversions, and that's based on the conversion rate. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Now I understand the funnel. I understand that I'm driving traffic at a certain cost, based on my current advertising. But if I left all my ads the same, for the same traffic, the same impressions, I can get more clicks and more sessions into the listing. With the conversion rate being the same, I can get more sales if I improve my click-through rate. And so I'm like, okay, what are the factors that can improve my click-through rate? Which is how he was thinking about different copy and different creative. I'm like, okay, I can do multiple ads like you can do on Facebook, but there's certain things that I can test. Like my main image, my price, my reviews, my star rating, coupons, any sort of deals and promotions, making sure that I'm fully in stock and it doesn't say like 13 units left in stock, any of that stuff, and badges if possible. So badges a little bit out of control. I'm already stocked FBA. So I started looking at, okay, what about image and price? Reviews, all of us know, like, we're actively working to get more reviews. But if you're like at a 4.2, then I would take money and put it to get to a 4.3 versus, let's optimize our PPC. Because if I go from a 4.2 to a 4.3, I know for my exact same advertising efforts, I can get like 2 times more people to come into the listing. And it's happened to me before. And so then I'm like, okay, what about the conversion rate? Equally. So I understand the factors that affect the click-through rate. Conversion rate is the same, the main image, but also the rest of the images in the video that's on the listing, the title, price reviews, the bullet points, coupons and promotions, virtual bundles that push like competitors down, which gives you a little bit more of a chance, A+ content, like the other videos, like the ones that are by normal people on the listing, post questions on the listing and images in the reviews, things like that, like, because people are actually reading those reviews. And once I identified that, I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I know what I can control on the ad side, and I can send traffic to my listing, and I can constantly try and optimize and bring as much traffic as possible at the lowest cost, increase organic rank to drive more traffic to the listing, at a lower cost. But also I should put an equal amount of effort into optimizing my click-through rate and testing one factor at a time of like the different things that affect it, like my main image, my price, and then same thing with the conversion rate, different positions of the images, different videos, changing, like, maybe adding more questions on the listing, all of these different things. And now it's like you go from looking at one thing at a time, and now my teams work together. My ads team and my brand team work together, like as a combination. And it's no longer like the PPC team is like the PPC team, like, hey, you got to do your job, PPC team. You got to get a better ACOS PPC team, because for the same exact everything on the PPC side, you can have a 3 times better ACOS if you improve your click-through rate and conversion rate by improving an image. You know what I mean? And so that's how we're looking at things now.
I love that. Mina, that is such a big mindset shift. And I love that you experienced that through trying to build, kind of a D2C funnel, right? From Facebook ads and then relating it into Amazon. Here's the mindset shift that I had while you were talking about that. I actually think we could kind of emulate more of that funnel type marketing on Amazon with, in my opinion, you could do that with your headline search ads, right? So you could you could do it single keyword campaigns for this too, right? And you swap out the creative for headline search ads, exact match campaigns. The beautiful thing about the HSA ads is they can go to your brand page, right? So they could go to a store page, and guess what? You could then build out your store page to kind of emulate maybe the same principles that you would use for a funnel, right? If you're directing traffic from Facebook to a funnel, you could put reviews towards the top, a video that starts playing automatically, and different features like that, which I think would be very interesting to test. And because you've already got people on Amazon that are really far down that funnel, and now you've got hyper relevant, if you're doing single keyword campaigns here, and you're talking about electrolyte packets, right? That's the keyword that you plaster everywhere, right? And your images are showcasing that, and even the video. And again, if you've got some like 2 or 3 really strong keywords, it's like you could create 10 different variations of that same landing page and test out which one converts best. What are your thoughts on that, Mina? Do you like that idea? Would that work?
Yeah, so this is a great idea. And I'll tell you, like, we've tested this on, like, I had a conversation with Stephen Pope, and he was telling me, like, he was explaining how the search query performance report works. And I'm like, I waited, everyone like was raving about it. And I was like, I'm going to wait until people figure out, like, and then they can show me very quickly. And then I'll like expand on it. So he figured it out, and he was telling me, he's like, you go into the search query performance report and look at where you have a high conversion share. So it's basically like a impression share, and then click share, and then add to cart share, and conversion share. And it tells you like, you versus your competition, how much percent are you getting, like the conversion or the click or whatever. So he's like, when you have a high conversion share, but a low impression share, that means that, of the people that come into the listing from that keyword, a large amount of them converts for that keyword. And so I'm like, interesting. So he's like, when you have a low impression share for a keyword that you have a high conversion share, that just means that you have to show it to more people so more people can come in, because that when they do come in, they convert. I'm like, got it, understood. So then I'm like, okay, what can I do? Yeah, I can launch more, campaigns like exact or whatever. I can increase the bids if I already targeting it, which is usually the, what's happening. But I'm like, what if we did this? And I would take my existing headline search ad, and then you can't put text on the ad, right? They
right.
block it, but you can put text on the packaging. And so I would make my package have that text. Like if it was like sugar-free electrolyte, then I would have like a bottle, and my bottle wouldn't look like that, but I would put sugar-free in big text, and I'm
photoshopping it.
Yeah,
yep.
I would totally Photoshop it. And we started noticing our impression share going up. And I'm like, that was like, it was right. And he had caught on to that very early. So we started doing that with headline search ads. Obviously, everyone knows headline search ads don't make that much of an impact. So we did see a small lift, and we were able to like capture, some decent demand, but it wasn't like, don't think that it's going to like, quadruple your business or anything like that. But it was pretty cool. So we tried some stuff like that. But it really, like, this whole kind of thought process just got me thinking, like, the same amount of effort that I'm putting in PPC, I should put into click-through rate and into conversion rate optimization. And so now, like the way we operate our PPC is in two modes. We're either scaling the PPC or we're optimizing for profit. So when we're scaling the PPC, the spend is transient. And so we don't want to change other things, because like, you don't know what's going to cause what. But then when we hit that max, I'm like, okay, we're spending $1,000 a day, guys. Let's go to $1,300 a day. So there will be a period where we're climbing, and then there's going to be a period where we reach that $1,500 a day. And then after like a few days, because the team will sometimes want to like change a few things, I'm like, okay, hold it for 2 weeks. And we hold that higher spend because, it's going to generate higher amounts of revenue, but also the organic rank is going up for those keywords that we're spending more on, or those newly launched campaigns. And in that time, I tell the brand team, I'm like, what are the experiments that we're going to try for the main image? And then they're trying, they're like, okay, we have this experiment that we took competitors, main images, and we put our main image, and then we got feedback, and we're like, okay, people really seem to care about the value. And so we added like, something in the listing that shows the value, like that it's like a more affordable product. And we iterated, and it seemed like it won. And so we'll test that. So it's almost like we don't miss a beat where, okay, we're scaling the ads, we scale it, and then we hold, and then we don't make any more changes to the ads. And then we implement like something that might impact click-through rate and conversion rate. And then we're like, okay, cool. This new creative is the winner. Now we want to optimize the ads. Don't change anything in the listing. Then we optimize the ads. Then it's like, okay, cool. Can we increase our conversion rate by increasing the price or decreasing the price by a few dollars? Let's test that. Then we test that. And so there's whenever, the ad spend is flat, because, when you're scaling, when you hit that high point, you want to hold it for a while to see like, what's going to happen to the revenue after that, new higher spend. And then when you optimize for profit, obviously, like if you just reach the new higher profit amount, like you were at $800 in profit, now you're at $1,200 in profit a day. You're like, okay, let's hold it for a couple of weeks so we can reap the profits. Not like, so we hold it for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, this is the perfect time to test something different, and hopefully like, it improves the profits and doesn't hurt the profits. But that's now how our teams are like working together.
I love that. So, Mina, I think the one important thing that we need to call out is that you mentioned this, but you're only testing one thing at a time so that you can draw a direct correlation to I did this and this was the outcome. Because if you're mixing multiple variables, that's where you're going to take a step back and be like, well, was it the main image? But we also added a coupon and then we decreased our price by $1. So now I'm not sure exactly what happened. Mina, I'm curious to learn from you. You've done so many optimizations up until this point. Main images, you've done price tests, you've done coupons, you've done A+ content. Of all the things that you have tested through the data, which of those variables or levers for optimization have been the most impactful as it relates to increasing conversion rate?
It's main image. It's always main image. Main image has been the number one. Price has been number two. And then everything else, like those are the ones that if you're like, hey, I want to leave this podcast and I want to do one thing, I would say go to Pick Food Product Opinion. Those are the two softwares that we can like get feedback from people. Take your main image, take your competitors' main images, put it in and say, if you are buying an electrolyte supplement, which one would you pick and why? Get the feedback and then take the feedback. You know, if you don't have a good creative person, you can find a creative person on LinkedIn or Upwork that will do the work on the side and just have them create some creative briefs for your graphic designer to like optimize. And then once they have, the new creative briefs, give it to a graphic designer, have them create like a bunch of different experiments, test all of that stuff. If you win, against those original competitors, test a few other competitors. And usually I like to take the main competitors from my main keywords or the keywords that I like really care about winning the search for. And then, once you have those images, you're like, okay, it's time to test. A lot of people mention using Manage My Experiments on Amazon. I just want to call one thing out that has happened to me where we have ran some experiments. Manage My Experiments on Amazon said that the new version of the image is not a better, has a lower click-through rate or lower purchases, whatever. And I refused to believe it. And I implemented the new image and our actual click-through rate and revenue and all of that and conversion rate went up. So take, Manage My Experiments with a grain of salt. And as someone who likes to move fast and doesn't want to wait like 3 months, I'm down for just like, let's put the main image, let's put the new main image in and let's see how it actually performs in reality and not wait for Amazon's A/B test, which could be inaccurate.
Yeah, that's great input. Is there a typical length of time that you want to run these experiments for? Is it a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I think 2 weeks is a sweet spot. Like one thing with any experiment and anything like that's on Amazon, your revenue and your spend and your impressions per day makes a huge difference. So if you're a product that's spending, $100 a day on ads versus 1,000, you're going to feel the impact of a new image on click-through and conversion rate, 10 times faster when you're spending 1,000. So, there's no really blanket. 2 weeks should be plenty unless you're spending like a very small amount of money every day. 2 weeks should be plenty for you to know if the new image is better. I usually wait a week, and what we do is we look at like what was the click-through rate for the last the last week or 2 weeks before that. What's the average, or since the image has been there, and obviously like at a stable like ad spend, right? If the ad spend is going up, then maybe we targeted some keywords where the click-through rate's been going down. But based on a flat ad spend, what is the click-through rate? And then I look at what is the click-through rate now with the new image, and I try and find some sort of statistical significance based on like the average and the standard deviation. And if the average plus the standard deviation is higher on the second one, it's worth it. If they're end up being very, very close, then I don't know if it's like worth it. And again, like click-through rate, the thing about it is it's like 0.3, 0.25, 0.42, like very small percentage points because it's millions of impressions. So it's also like very sensitive, so usually I think 1 week is plenty for me.
I like that. Mina, I'm also curious. I mean, you're talking about statistical analysis now, right? And not many Amazon sellers are known for their statistical analysis skills. Where, like, are you doing all of this in just, spreadsheets or Google Sheets? Or do you have a software that's helping, run these numbers and statistically prove that this was a, conclusive test? Yes, swap it out.
No, we don't have any software. This is all standard. This is all like Google Sheets and stuff like that. We do have a software but all that software does is analytics software, and it shows us our PPC spend, our PPC sales, our total sales, sessions, cost per session, click-through rate, conversion rate, cost per click, and profit day by day across all of our different products. So having that view is really useful because you're no longer looking. I was just talking to someone earlier, and they use like a PPC software and stuff like that, and I'm like, show me how you're looking at things, and they're like really looking at like trends of conversion and trends of impressions, and I'm like, it's so hard for you to make a decision based on like looking at the data like that. So I think that's where our analytics software helps a lot, is we can see the week on week changes, and I can see, okay, the ad spend changed, like increased by 10%. What happened to my sessions? What happened to my cost per session? What happened to my click-through rate? Or my PPC spend was same week over week. I changed my main image. What happened to my click-through rate week over week? Or like, okay, here's all of the click-through rates, document them. Here's all the sessions, document them. And then go look at like the on Google Sheets, just do equals average and equals STDEV, which is standard deviation. And then it gives you what the average and standard deviation is.
I love that. What software tool are you using to gather that data at a baseline, right, on a daily basis?
That's My Real Profit. So we did custom development. So if you want to see our exact analytics, you can do it through us. They can't sell it to you. It's because it's IP. But My Real Profit is amazing, and because of our size, like we have 130 something brands, so we decided to just custom develop everything that is like the most streamlined for us to be able to like see the data and very quickly take action.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I love that. All right, Mina, we've got just a few minutes left, but because you've statistically seen that the main image and price are your biggest needle movers for conversion rate, I'm curious if you can give us just some quick tips in terms of what type of images have you seen performing better than others? And is there kind of a general rule of thumb that you could point towards, although it may be kind of product specific, but any general rules of thumb of what continues to win?
Yeah. Okay. I also want to say, like, I know I talked about the biggest needle movers, reviews. If you go from a 4-star to 4.5 star, that's a massive needle mover too. Obviously if you're going from like 300 to 500 to 700 review, it's like a slow burn. But if you go from like your 3,000 reviews, 4-star to 4.5 star, that will have a huge impact. Okay. Things that I've noticed work really well in the main image is if you can sell like the value propositions right in the main image. So sometimes like you look at a supplement, like an electrolyte supplement, and you're like, okay, what makes this unique? What makes this better than everything else? And then you have this other one that says 0 sugar, keto friendly, 100 servings, and it's like whatever, in your face or like delicious, you have the fruits and all that stuff. So you're kind of communicating why this product is better than everyone else right there in the main image. There was like a pots and pans one, and it was like the size of it was right there in the main image, even though it wasn't actually on the pan, like measured, like, it says 54 on the pan, whatever. That wasn't really in the pan, but you can see the size, you can see the non-stick, you can see the omelet, like flying very smoothly out of the pan. So in 2 seconds, you visualize that this is like a very, attractive pan for me because it's super non-stick. It's this, it's that, like all in one image. That's where we've seen like the biggest, impact is if you can, when I ask you, like you tell me, hey, Mina, can you buy my product? I'll say, what makes your product better than everyone else? And you're like, well, this thing and this thing and this thing. If you can showcase those things in the main image, I think that's what causes images to win.
I love that. All right. Now, following up on the price aspect, what have you seen in regards to price? Is it just lower price always increases conversion? Or have you seen the opposite where you could actually increase price, not lose conversion, or conversion rate actually increases? What's been, your analysis on price testing?
Yeah, so we've seen it go in both ways. So we've seen like drop the price, increase conversion rate, drop the price, decrease conversion rate, increase the price, decrease you know what I mean? And so the conclusion that I have is test, and obviously Chad with Prophecy, Chad Rubin is doing that, on a massive scale through AI. We actually are starting to use him for MMA Nutrition, but I think that at the end of the day, like there's no consistency that I've seen across brands. So I would test, I think I was just talking to a friend, and they launched like a competitor to a very famous protein powder. That protein powder was $60, and there was a low end protein powder, $28. So they came in at 20, 27 or something like that, like very close to the low end, but not the high end. And they were the exact same like type of product, same ingredients and everything. And that product didn't do well at all. So it's really hard like to know what the market's gonna do, because they might be like, yeah, I don't want to buy a $28 meal replacement protein powder. I want the $55 one because that makes me feel like this is gonna have like good ingredients. There's no way it's organic and healthy if it's only $28, something like that, And because it's so hard to tell, I would just test and get the data.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. Well, Mina, this has been a super valuable conversation. I hope that our listeners have had some mindset shifts, because I know I have. But before we leave our audience, I'd love to leave the guests with kind of 3 actionable takeaways for our listeners. And here are the 3 takeaways that I noted, Mina. Let me know if you think I'm missing something here. But first and foremost, you need to stop seeing PPC as just a PPC strategy and siloing your focus on PPC. Like Mina talked about, you need to kind of change your mindset and see that PPC is just as important as your product optimization, and they go hand in hand. You can't have PPC doing whatever it wants without talking to the product optimization team, because when you look at your data to try to conclude, was that worth it? Did I move the needle? You won't know the answer if the PPC team is not on the same page. So that's takeaway number 1. Integrate your PPC with your product optimization. Takeaway number 2 is start dialing in just what you said, Mina, your main image. That's your first, easiest, low-hanging fruit in testing that. So go look at some of the best case studies there, or some of the best competitors in your product category, and even go experiment. Look and see what's ranking on Google images, right? And Google Shopping, what's ranking on Etsy. Get different ideas that you could bring to the market. Go test them out on PickFu and many of the different poll services. But what I love is that you had mentioned in your main image, try to showcase what are your 3 differentiating factors, or whatever it may be, that why should I buy your product over the rest? And can you convey that in that main image? And it can be TOS compliant if you kind of Photoshop what your product packaging is, right? So there are so many creative strategies you could test there. And then third, last but not least, I think it's paying attention to your price and always testing. I am been very surprised with the number of sellers that have only continued to decrease their prices when they see that they're losing market share. And what's happening now is many people are losing their shorts with margin, because Amazon has increased their fulfillment fees, and sellers are getting worried if they see year-over-year declines in their numbers. They start lowering the price without actually doing a test and determining, is that increasing or decreasing my conversion rate? And so if you don't pay attention to that, you're only going to kind of damage your business and your profit margin at the end of the day. So test. It's kind of the name of the game there. Mina, is there anything else you would add?
That's perfect, man. That sums it up perfectly. It's, having that centralized dashboard that shows all of your analytics, and stop separating PPC and conversion conversion rate. It's all connected. It's like they're literally like, married, and the mom is the ads, the dad is the conversion rate, and the child is the sales, and so they are really connected, and you can't, stop blaming PPC, or stop always looking at PPC without looking at the conversion, KPIs, which is click-through and conversion rate, and seeing it. It could be that week, there's some sort of seasonality happening and conversion rate is down, and that's why your PPC is not working, and not that it is just like, something's wrong with the PPC. And then everything else you summarized is the main image, the price, always testing, and constantly have like the next test ready, and one thing at a time, always one thing at a time.
I love it. Great summary. Now, Mina, I've got to ask you our 3 final questions here. Number 1, what's been the most influential book that you've read and why?
I think it's Who, Not How. And as an engineer and someone who's their whole life learned how to do things and how, and I've become really good at doing a lot of things, I started realizing more and more that the answer is always who and not how. And it's not like, how can I do this or how can I, do that? It's more like, who is the best person that I can hire that can do this, or who's the best person that can teach me this, or who's the best person I can learn from. And it's just been one of the biggest, again, mindset shifts that I've had is when I think I've had this mindset shift late because I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that is not smart, like textbook smart or whatever, and can figure things out. And so it's like, okay, who can help me? I'm able to figure, so many things out. And that was my biggest, Achilles heel, which is it always held me back because I'm like, I can figure this out on my own, or I can figure this out and I can do it myself, versus it just immediately saying, I have no time to figure this out. Who is the right person for this? Who can I, get in that seat ASAP?
I completely agree with everything you just said. Mina, next question. What has been your favorite productivity tool or new software tool that you've recently discovered that you think is going to be a game changer?
I mean, I don't think this is a new thing, but Monday.com has been a game changer for us. We use Monday for project management, task management. It's really nice, clean, easy, to see everything. It's color coded. There's a lot of automation. So when you finish something, it can go to somewhere else. It connects with Zapier. So it can send you email updates and this and that. And so for me, that's, we were trying to make ClickUp work as project management and task management and documenting all of our process in a company wiki, basically. Then we tried Notion. Then I realized that it was so much easier to have Monday for project and task management only, and then Notion as a company wiki.
I love it. All right, last question here. Who is somebody that you admire or respect the most in the e-commerce space that other people should be paying attention to, and why?
I mean, so not really in the e-commerce space, but I love Grant Cardone, and I think Grant Cardone is someone. A lot of people talk shit about what he's selling and this and that and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, what he's doing and how he's doing it, he's created a way for him to essentially, make money in any way he wants. And when him and Frank Kern created an advertising agency, they were able to go from 0 to $1 million a month in revenue in 6 months or less. And, that just speaks to the ability, what he's doing and his social presence and the ability to make money. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that he offered a great service or didn't offer a great service, but I think there's a lot of things I can learn from Grant and how he's doing what he's doing and how he's positioning himself. He also has a very, very, very strong mindset. And it's, I read the book, Be Obsessed and Be Average. And now it's mandatory for everyone on my team to read that book when they join the company.
I love it. Those are some great anecdotes. I love it. Well, Mina, I know this has been super valuable. Thank you for your time. If people want to learn more about you and your advertising agency, where can people reach out to you, learn more about you? And I know you're also giving out a free audit to our listeners as well. So tell people where they could learn more about this.
Yeah, so the free audit, if you just go to triviumco.com, that's triviumco.com, just get a free audit. And basically, someone on the team will go into your account and will go through everything your portfolios, your campaign names, the different ad groups, the keywords, organic ranking, everything, and give recommendations on how everything can be improved and why we recommend that stuff. And then my Instagram is @the Mina Elias. and my LinkedIn is Mina Elias. So feel free to message me there. Any questions that you guys have, if you listen to this podcast and have questions on how to do anything we talked about, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Mina, thanks again for your time.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecombreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.